Welcome everybody, I'm Matt and I'm back today with the best hand gestures that you can start doing today to take your public speaking to a completely different level. If you're new to the channel, we produce motivational content and study inspiring people, so make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn notifications on. By the way, if you didn't watch the last video, which was about the biggest public speaking mistakes you can make with your hands, make sure to check it out. It's going to pop up on the screen here somewhere and in the description below. As I mentioned in the last video, often when you start public speaking or presenting, your main focus is on what you're saying. But what we often overlook is what we do with our hands, because we assume that there's something that's just going to be taken care of naturally, that we'll just know what to do with them. But often what we'll see is if we see someone presenting or public speaking, and if their hands are in a weird or unnatural position, it just feels really uncomfortable. And it makes the person come across as lacking confidence, and they'll have less credibility with what they say. Okay, let's dive into some of the best gestures that you can start doing today. The first gesture to start using is pointing. It's an easy way to refer to yourself and the audience. As I mentioned though in the last video, you don't want to throw your hand out too fast and point with your wrist facing down and using one finger, because if you go like this, it can feel like an attack or like it's aggressive. So instead what you want to do is turn the wrist up. Instead of using one finger, use the full hand, move the hand a bit slower and smile. And that's going to diffuse any negative associations with it. You can also use this gesture to refer to the whole audience. So you could say, for example, I want to thank everyone for coming today. What I'm about to share with you is very close to my heart. The second type of gestures that you can use are prompting gestures. Now these are really effective because they help increase the interactiveness with the audience. They increase engagement. The audience members can feel more like they're participating with what you're doing. Some examples of what you can do are you can say, okay, can I get a show of hands here? Who has skydived before? Or you could say, all right, everybody, let's give them a round of applause. Or you could say, does anybody have anything to add? What about yourself? Or come up here on stage. And the third gesture you can start using is to touch your index finger off your thumb. It's almost like by closing this space, you're adding more precision to what you're saying. And there's a few different ways you can use this. When you do it, by the way, it seems like there's something important, like there's something insightful that you have to say. Another way to use it is to scan the audience as you do it, and you can slow down and add pauses in between each word and maybe talk quieter. And the next hand gesture that you need to incorporate is being neutral. This might just be with your hands relaxed by your sides, a slight bend in your arms. So why is this so important? Because it allows you to demonstrate contrast. If you keep showing emphasis in your gestures, how's the audience going to be able to determine between what was mildly important and what is the most important? Whereas if you keep coming back to neutral, this now allows the audience to have a range in their minds where they can see the variance from the norm to know what is maybe not so important, what's mildly important, and what's the most important. And the next gesture to start incorporating is when you're comparing or talking about two different things. So to do this, you might say on one hand and then on the other. For example, you might say, okay, I got this one friend, John. He's very introverted. He hates going to parties. He's always been like that. Paul, though, on the other hand, total opposite. Drop him into a group of 100 strangers and he is in his element. And the sixth gesture to start incorporating into your public speaking right now are numbers. Now, pretty straightforward. You can actually just literally count these out on your fingers. Doing it is going to make what you're saying more memorable and have more impact. For example, you might say, the second thing you need to know about public speaking is the importance of using gestures. Another thing to remember though is, fair enough, if you go the second thing you need to know, if you're in a big room or on a stage, that might be appropriate, but you have to adapt the size of your gesture to the situation. So if you're doing a presentation, there's just a couple people in the room and they're right in front of you, going like this seems like too much. In that case, you might just say, the second thing you need to know is the following. And the last thing I'll leave you with is, The most important thing when you're doing hand gestures is that they look natural. There's nothing worse than when you see someone speaking and they're trying to do something that just doesn't look comfortable. It's very clear to the audience. What I would advise you to do is to practice it at home. You can look in the mirror doing it, or you can film yourself. And yeah, fair enough, when you start speaking on stage and you start trying to use more gestures, it might feel uncomfortable at the beginning. But try just adding one gesture at a time and practice it, and you'll get better and better, more comfortable, and at some point it's going to become a natural part of your communication. Once you start incorporating these gestures into your talks, people are going to start seeing you as a more engaging, confident, persuasive speaker. Make sure to check out the previous video I did about the biggest public speaking mistakes you can make with your hands. It's going to pop up on the screen here and in the description below. So if you could help me out by hitting the subscribe button, I would really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments below if there's any gestures that you really like doing that I didn't mention here today. Thanks for joining me, everyone. I'm Matt. I'll see you in the next video.